Let's get you the latest from the Gaza Strip, and multiple explosions have been seen this morning after the Israeli military said that its ground forces would expand its activities in the Hamas-ruled territory. The announcement came hours after Israel's defense minister said that the country expected to launch a long and difficult ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, and shortly before communication services in the territory were also cut off. The Palestinian death toll in Gaza has now crossed the 7,000 mark. It's 7,300, and in the occupied West Bank, more than 100 Palestinians have been killed in violence and Israeli raids since the 7th of this month. More than 1,400 people in Israel have been killed, mostly civilians, during the initial Hamas attack. Now we have my colleague Kadamni joining us to get us more on this. Kadamni, the Israeli forces have extended their ground operations in Gaza. They've cut off phone lines, they've cut out the internet connections as well.
Well, the connection has been cut because there are continuous airstrikes. We have seen since last night the airstrikes were also up, and there were drones and warplanes were bombing northern Gaza continuously. The explosions were heard quite till far away in faraway cities as well. So that has been intensive airstrikes since last night. It was said since 7th of October when Hamas attack took place that there would be a ground offensive. But what has happened yesterday is that the tanks have rolled in, thousands of troops, Israeli troops have rolled in into Gaza, and airstrikes, as I've said, is continuing. Now, the objective is to destroy the tunnels, the underground tunnels which Hamas has. But it is not clear whether this is the same ground offensive we are talking about that had been expected for some time, because IDF is calling it, Israeli government is calling it an expansion of activities, operations in Gaza. So this has happened last night, and the tanks and troops and airstrikes have been continuing in Gaza since last night, and it is the most intensive of the last few days. We have seen in last few days there were raids, there were quick raids where the troops went in, tanks went in, but they also came back. There is no information till now whether they have retreated into their own territory. So whether this is a ground offensive or this is an expanded operation, as IDF is saying, is not clear. But of course it is a very intensive operation with aerial strikes, drone strikes and ground offensive as well.
Right, Kadamni, Israel has also accused Hamas of operating from inside a hospital, a charge that the group has continued to deny.
Well, yes, they have been accusing Hamas of doing this for a long time, but yesterday they had released some pictures, some videos and telephone conversation between the Hamas operatives saying that this evidence confirms that Hamas is operating from under the largest hospital of Gaza. Now, this constitutes a sort of a war crime, because the hospitals are not supposed to be attacked, and schools, UN buildings are not supposed to be attacked, and these are the places where people actually, the civilians, take shelter. Now, if Hamas is operating from under a hospital, does that make it a legitimate target? So that is a big question. Israel has been till now avoiding, but one hospital was hit, which was later said that it was actually a fallen rocket which actually Hamas had fired. Now, with this evidence, this is a very difficult situation. What happens next, whether the hospital there is a legitimate target for this war, remains to be seen, but it will have to be evacuated. It would have to be empty for Israel to attack that. Otherwise, it constitutes a war crime if civilians and patients are inside.